Consciousness. It's often portrayed as the last frontier of human understanding. But isn't it really our first and final intellectual trap? Throughout my sites, whenever a reference to consciousness is made, it is suggested that you instead think of and feel our connection, or the degree of which you and we are living life fully aware of and embracing our inherent connection with all elements of life, living in awe of and in harmony with humans being and all aspects of nature. What we think of as not human and not this me. Like it or not, you are indeed fully connected with every aspect of life. Not the dated theory of cause and then effects, but truly connected as a symbiotic, flowing with all that is occurring simultaneously across recursive layers of existing, with the goal of knowing that one is existing. But you chose to forget that as part of life's inescapable design. So the opportunity is simply to remember that you are fully connected and no effort is required except for dropping all concepts and prejudice handed to you, conditioning you to forget life's design. We love to proclaim as part of quests to find ourself, our truly unique self, that the work is long and hard. Quite funny to observe by those who have remembered, who have been enlightened. The shortest journey possible is the one that begins within and finds its destination at the same starting point, the self. The work is only difficult because we are conditioned to think and profess our thoughts, our concepts about life, rather than living a directly feeling of what is or isn't true in the land of shared perception, shared senses. We've lost our common senses, so to speak. Shared emotional impressions and shared reflection are crucial to rekindling awareness of our connection as one. Not our prevailing current virtual experience, which is now becoming just individual opinions in a reality for just this one, as a sort of incubation from the overly complex and confusing, unshared reality that we have developed, part of life's design. There seems to be so much trending interest as an individual in bypassing physical existence to gain access to our origin, whatever we can imagine that to be. It is the ultimate intellectual race to the supposed top of existence. Quite funny and very entertaining, at least to me. The problem is that we're trying to do that just for the sake of our isolated self. As we meditate our way out of physical existence and or intellectualize our way into unnecessary debate about what is, could be, or should be, we hurt ourselves and everyone around us who is attempting to reconnect with us. Hurt, meaning that we delay a peaceful reunion through a simple remembering of our connection. The more we seek meaning and understanding of life, we are actually delaying the finding of an explanation that's constantly in front of us. The explanation is constantly stimulating and teasing our five senses, but our mind, our intellect, is too caught up in trying to explain it in words in a linear fashion and trying to do so lately for release of an ebook or e-opinion. Boy. Instead, let us feel connection instead of just thinking about consciousness. The ultimate goal of life is to exist and know it, to experience indiscriminate love through a shared reality by regaining awareness of our connection and origin as one. The game of hide and seek creates the sense of self through initial temporary separation from so-called others, those external to ourself who look, think, and act differently than what resonates within ourself. This is by life's design, and without it, we would never know we exist. The built-in duality trap. The moment that we think as an individual, we are using language to capture that thought in an attempt to either replay it in our own mind or to share it with another person. Language is built on duality. For every word, thought, there is an equal and opposite word or thought. Therefore, the mere act of thinking initiates and perpetuates duality. Duality begins with intention, seeks balance, and thrives on action, bringing about life evolution. Duality is inherently crucial to our shared existence and unavoidable. Duality makes physical existence possible. These exchanges to interact and know it lead to individual accumulation of energy and memory, preparing us for growth or self-protection. With an external signal invoked at some point to transform that stored energy and understanding of self, expanding yet further beyond self. The key is to remember that we are in duality and remain aware and adaptable to the effects of life that we share in thought alone. We should especially remain aware and adaptable of the effects of our shared thought, which is the transformation signal, and how this affects the balance within us individually and across all of existence. The moment we decide to share our thought in writing or by vocalizing, our intent is to influence life. Is our reason for sharing meant to serve the individual or the collective? Is the intention to connect, reunite the collective aspects of life, or is the intent to separate life even further? Self meaning just for yourself or for any group or aspect of life that you have a biased preference for. Every aspect of life. No mincing of words here. If action does not support all aspects of life, then there is an individual affinity and motive that propels duality. Love is experienced through sensing connection. Pain is experienced through imagining separation. When existence experiences the depths of both love and pain, energy is heightened and life compelled to act. Life is compelled to act towards the benefit of the collective. Together we are constantly striving to reunite. Affirmed experience becomes reality. Are we just thinking about reality out there in our mind alone? Or are we feeling shared, affirmed existence? The escape hatch from duality. Life that is shared by feeling it together requires no thought and allows no space for words, and thus escapes duality within each present moment. The present moment occurs when two or more aspects of life are sharing the moment together without trying to influence the moment or each other. Have you experienced a touching moment with another person where you were choked up, unable to speak, and preferred that neither of you said anything anyway? The embrace was enough, whether through a physical touch or through the gripping energy surrounding that shared moment. These types of moments leave strong impressions on us. These impressions are stored in and across the cells of our entire body not just in our mind. They are recalled accurately and vividly only by those who physically shared the moment during the original imprinting. This is the path to connected living, sometimes labeled objective consciousness or permanent I. Regardless, these are just more words of polarity, sounded out and spelled out in duality. So here's a suggestion for living well in the paradox of a life born into duality. It is suggested that instead of perpetuating the confusion surrounding the terms of consciousness versus unconscious living, or subconscious, mindless living versus superconscious, mindful living, which is inherently individualistic, that somehow I am more conscious than you, creating a relative competitive vibe yet again. Let's think of our awareness instead as living ever more connected and reunited through all aspects of physical existence and experiencing. Throughout my sites, the word consciousness becomes interchangeable with connectedness. You will see the interchange of words and the eventual dropping of the concept of consciousness, which has a limiting definition of at the level of oneself. Connectedness takes us beyond our narrow, misleading understanding of ourself and its limited vantage points as the center of individual reality, what we often label as personality, and what I often call personal reality for one, just this one. And it begs the question, what might really be above me? Is there something connecting all of mankind and nature? To raise the courage to answer this question without becoming too absorbed and obsessed once again, distracted into analysis paralysis and corresponding separation, we simply leverage what science has already reaffirmed over 150 years of research. By looking downward, we can confidently infer what's above us, connecting us, until faith is replaced by direct, experience-based knowing. You might proclaim either blasphemy, David, or way too bold. A reasonable counter might be to ask, what has science proven to us already, beyond a reasonable doubt? We're so fascinated with formula that we've forgotten how to feel what is real. By example, as we've come to understand and label the harmonious functions of the 11 systems in the human organism, we've discovered a very strange paradox of recursive levels of form being comprised mainly of space, and the space comprised of relatively dense form on the lower level. What feels like total chaos to life living at a particular level, when studied from life above it, displays a wonderfully organized, mutually supportive design. The paradox is how to confidently infer that which you cannot yet see above you from that which you can now clearly see below you or within you. As above, so below. As below, so above me. Life can only ponder its existence from its current position, which is in the middle of known existence, to exist and know it through such a pondering of the paradox. So what is the intention of separation and reunification, life's design? Consciousness as the concept and intellectual debate dominates modern thought and unfortunate expanding debate, and it has become the last hurdle in duality, and therefore our limiting factor of understanding the true reality, the shared reality of creation. How interesting, then, that duality ensures that the depths of loving reunion are experienced through guaranteed initial separation. Wow, what a wonderful design. Despite the amassing energy and discussion around the need, the inherent desire to reunite, the concept of consciousness is tripping up even seemingly the most open hearts of thought leaders. Notice that thought is the culprit once again. The intention of separation and reunification of life is perhaps the most difficult aspect to collectively understand and accept, at least while we are heavily invested in the thinking process. The path to acceptance is found only by feeling the contrast of love's presence or absence, by remaining in the present moment. We remain present by feeling the physical experience of life, rather than predominantly thinking about life. There is a time to think, and then a time to act. Life has become too enamored by individual thought and endless debate over thought. If instead we share a thought on the premise of being uncertain, align on our shared action and what that should be as we set out to confirm what we truly know together, and further ensure more shared action to reflect on what we've learned together, but instead of reflecting purely in more words and thought, which leads to more intellectual debate and self-protection, what if we instead reflected through wordless feeling and affirmations of one another, outside the concepts reinforced in duality? We must simply stop talking and stop writing. The predecessor of thought is belief. What we've evolved to believe is that our self is real due to the sense of physical separation, a me placed into a world apart from others, perceived by our five senses, which further inflates artificial concern over and desire to influence through the thoughts held in our physical brain. Feeling leads to synthesis, the full inclusion of all life's possibilities and a positive attraction of life into the self. Thinking is analytical, and it leads to a disassembly of life, biased by a narrow individual experience and set of beliefs, prejudiced non-experience, scrutiny, disbelief, and a negative action to block or push away life from the self. The more we share what we think, the more we should begin to realize how much we really do not know, actually how much we've intentionally forgotten. Unfortunately, many humans in the act of being think towards a foregone conclusion of validating their personal and proprietary knowledge, that which can be sold to ensure self-survival or self-thriving, so we think anyway. Don't fret, because this is by life's design. Perhaps life has reached the outer limits, or maybe our sense of separation-oriented pain must continue to expand and intensify further before convergence is allowed to cycle once more. Boy, I sure hope not. But to understand what we do not know, we must allow something completely new in. The broader the opening in our mental gate, the more relevant the surprise to the self caught up in righteousness. To allow all of life in, we must be completely vulnerable. Our fear is a self-protection mechanism, and it blocks our vulnerability, our degree of openness. Fear is a part of life's design, and it exists within our DNA, both figuratively and literally. We should never feel bad about our fear, however, because it sparks all of life's intention and action. To rebalance fear and love, we must suppress concern for the self, for ourself. This is perhaps the ultimate challenge for any part of existence that thinks. This is essentially what is meant by allowing oneself to die into life, to let go of all concern for oneself. This is the core of unifying faith, and ultimately the key to the escape hatch within duality. Notice, please, that no one, no external entity is holding the key with whom we must gain favor through good deeds in order to acquire the key. More so, it's simply an awakening to the fact that we are a part of something recursively much bigger than ourselves. Similar to a skin cell, realizing its role in the human body, likewise, mankind is awakening from self-separation, meaning that he, she thinks they are the end point, the point of it all, to a reckoning instead that he or she might just be a cell in a next level abstraction of existence, what we might think of as the body, or possibly literally a cell in the next level of humanity. A person who has opened up and allowed consideration of this possibility I refer to as the connected or connecting self, abbreviated as CELF throughout this site. No, that's not a typo. The connecting self is someone who is seeking to remember and experiencing through direct witnessing all connection in life. We understand that thought is the ancestor to action. Many of us fail to see, however, that belief is the ancestor to thought. Beliefs narrow and inhibit our ability to act because they put the mind in friction against the body. Replaying another person's belief systems and asking your body to act out their thought leads to a severe contradiction that the body knows to be in conflict, because your body never physically experienced what the mind believes to be true, whether for the sake of your own self or collective opinions. Thanks to Western civilization's modern instruments, splitting the atom, nanotech, quantum physics, we are learning that physical impressions in our body are the ancestor to belief. Our collective, unconscious, disconnected, self-preserving, selfish action, meaning our automatic reaction to unfolding events, where the reaction is triggered by unpacking a faulty past impression from the body. This is what we might label unconscious, unmindful living. Therefore, at any level in the recursive hierarchy of creation, the body should trump the mind, what I refer to as body-mind transformation. The mind, brain, is just one organ in the body at level, not the other way around as prevailing wishful thinking perpetuates. Do a quick Google search on mind-body connection. Think about this, but only briefly. Then just set out to feel it, to witness it directly, without the world of words and concepts which intentionally confuses all of us by life's design. The mind takes orders collectively from the entire body's condition at times, and it attempts to control the entire body at other times. How is this any different from any other connecting cell within the body or connecting self within society? Some people try to dominate the world, physically or intellectually. Many people are dominated by the world, physically and or intellectually. The reason for each scenario is a lack of reference to the whole of existence. Eventually, though, we notice that our thought and our action collectively impact a next level thought and action. A human being who achieves this gift of presence and awareness is able to access and understand next level body-mind, what I refer to as body-mind. Accessing allows you to see fully the cause and effect of how everything is connected and goes with one another. Are you curious? Contact me to discuss or attend one of my speaking events, which can be found on my scheduling page. So what should we do once we discover the escape hatch, discover the key, and go beyond the doorway? The ultimate realization of living fully aware and bonded with your connection in life means that you are able to naturally honor every connection with life, with everything that you experience directly, while maintaining a reference to the whole of existence. All love is directed towards the reuniting self. Realizing that the thinking you, a cellular instance of the next level body, humanity, each self within humanity, realizing that you are a part of that self-realization on the next level, and that everything is depending on you for their own sense of well-being, for their own existing and knowing, what I would call realization of love. This should be the most awe-inspiring realization of your own lifetime. The ultimate reality is infinitely recursive, symbiotic, and non-hierarchical. If you are at all curious about this claim, please visit me in person at one of my seminars. For example, Remembering Our Connection seminar. I'd love to talk with you and to reconnect. The ultimate realization is this: you are inherently connected to everything that you witness directly, and nothing need be done. There's no path, there's no journey, there's no long, hard work. You're inherently connected, and it's just a matter of remembering that connection. Finding and maintaining a reference to the entire whole of existence by looking first down and within, and finding a loving, flowing, and connection with this body that comprises you is the first step towards reconnecting with the ultimate body that connects all of society. All love is directed towards the reuniting ultimate self, realizing that the thinking you, a cellular instance of a next level body, call it humanity, whatever you want, realizing that the thinking you is a part of the self-realization, and that everything is depending upon you for their own well-being, their own realization of love, their own existing and knowing. This should be the most awe-inspiring realization of your own lifetime. Blessings.
What about us? What about us? What about